We start the morning, and I would like to inform you that we had a meeting of the Bureau, the last meeting of the Bureau today. We updated the work that had been done until now, and we and we will proceed today with some other questions which are not minor important, because a long and very fruitful job had been done by the working groups who provided these documents for us, and I think we have to have very serious documents to be approved. What I wanted to inform you about, we agreed that due to the fact that we will work only until 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. today in the morning, with this time the morning session will be finished, and the afternoon we will not have any discussions and any meetings anymore, because the working group for the last preparation of the last document will start their work after that. I hope that, and I count on your understanding on this matter, not to open very long debates on the matters which we are going to discuss today. Especially it is concerned with the draft documents which submitted by two groups, regarding budget and regarding operational matters. So both groups were working, and both these documents are brought here on the consensus basis. If you have some amendments, you can work it out. Some amendments, you can work it out with the working group beforehand, not to open the long decisions now. So I'm apologizing in front of all the honorable members of the committee and state parties for my sometimes involvement to minimize the discussion. This is I want to inform you. And now we move to the item 13, devoted to the international assistance. To this end, I would like to invite you to pay attention to document 13. I invite Mrs. Tocharova from the World Heritage Center to produce the item, and then we will see what happens. Mrs. Tocharova, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm the director, but I'm playing now Mrs. Tocharova because she's just outside of the room. Never mind. So thank you, Mr. Chair. If you look at the document, you have 13 and 13 at. The first part of the document is related to international assistance request within the purview of the World Heritage Committee. That is requests above $30,000 and above $75,000 for emergency assistance. And with this, Mrs. Tocharova, I covered up for you.
Thank you very much, Madam Rossler. You have covered up for me, as you always do for all our staff. So you have the two documents, and you have the first international assistance request, which concerns Ecuador, as you can see on the screen, and it concerns the development of a monitoring system for the conservation and management of pelagic ecosystems in the Galapagos Marine Reserve. This is an activity which is proposed as an important step towards even more integrated management of this complex property, which has both terrestrial and marine parts and includes very significant offshore areas. And this is a request which is in line with decisions of the World Heritage Committee, and all the details of the request can be found from page 4 to page 6 of the document. The requested amount is $59,975, and the recommendation of the panel is positive. The amount available under the corresponding category is $61,683. So nothing prevents a possible approval by the committee if the committee wishes to do so. Two more, next slide please, two more requests are presented to the attention of the committee for decision by the committee. The second request comes from Niger and concerns the management plan of Agadez. It is important to revise the management plan in order to address the wide set of challenges that the city faces, and it also be essential to strengthen local governance. All the details of this request are to be found from page 7 to page 10 of the original document. The amount requested, you can see it on the screen, is 42,385, and the recommendation is positive. Nonetheless, it needs to be mentioned that currently there are not enough funds available on the corresponding budget line for assistance towards conservation and management. And the same is valid concerning the next request, which comes from Guatemala, next slide, which concerns also conservation activities within the World Heritage City of La Antigua, Guatemala. This project is aiming to make a major contribution to the conservation of an important 18th century Spanish Christian structure, which summarizes the attributes that convey the OUV of the property and that is highly valued by the communities. The details about this request can be found from page 11 to page 13 of the document. You can see the amount that's requested, 69,791. And I'd also like to say that the recommendation of the panel is positive, but again, as in the previous case, in the previous request, there are no available funds on this budget line. However, given the importance of these two requests, and to make the actual approval and funding of these requests possible, the requests from Niger and Guatemala, we propose a budget reallocation, as you can see it on the screen, in order, it can also be seen in the document itself, in order to increase the budget line dedicated to international assistance, conservation and management. I would like to assure you that the Secretariat has very carefully reviewed the reallocations in order to ensure that they're possible would not jeopardize any other activity which is ongoing or planned. Next slide. We also have an additional request, a fourth request coming from the Seychelles, and it concerns emergency assistance activity within the World Heritage Site of the Vallée de Mai. This project will directly address the threat to the Vallée de Mai from yellow crazy ants. All the details on this request can be found in the document AD, 13 AD, dated 6th of July, which has been distributed to the committee members during the course of the session. This request was received, I just want to clarify, after the document, the original document was already issued. The amount requested by the Seychelles is, as you can see, 96,850, and the recommendations by the Secretariat and IUCN are positive. The amount which is available on the corresponding category, which is emergency assistance budget, is 115,000. So there is enough funds from the emergency assistance budget to cover this request, and there is therefore nothing that prevents it, and the committee may approve it if it so wishes. Overall, as of 30th of June, what is the situation of the budget of the international assistance? As mentioned already in the case of Guatemala and Niger, all the funds have been used. No, there are 10% left under conservation and management assistance, which will become zero if the request from Ecuador is approved. And as far as preparatory assistance is concerned, all the funds have already been used. It is hoped that the increase of the international assistance budget by 300,000 which is foreseen in the budget of the World Heritage Fund for 2020-2021, will contribute to avoid reallocations concerning those lines during the next biennium. And finally, you discuss in one of the forthcoming items, namely that on the revision of the operational guidelines, revision of the international assistance process, which was requested by the committee by its decision 42-13, paragraph 6, and was examined, the proposal prepared by presented to the committee, was examined by the working group on the revision of the operational guidelines in the course of this week, and the corresponding decision and the revision of the operational guidelines will be examined a little bit later by the committee, and the documents have been distributed. The draft decision together with the proposed revision have been distributed to all of you. The draft decision, finally, on this item is contained on page 15 of the English and French versions of document WHC/19/43.com/13. And the decision has been revised accordingly. Will have to be revised accordingly further to the additional request, emergency request from Seychelles. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much for this report. Do we have any questions, maybe amendments to the text, to the information? I don't see any, so thank you very much. And if there is no other draft, is there? Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to note, as Mrs. Petrachoya said, this draft decision, as originally seen, has been amended with 3.4 added to reflect that late request. So if we just scroll down, we can see 3.4, minimise the impacts of the invasive yellow crazy ant Anoplolepsis gracilipes at the Vallée de Mai UNESCO World Heritage Site, Seychelles, to preserve its outstanding universal value, Seychelles, for an amount of US $96,850 under the emergency assistance budget. Thank you.
No objections for this addition? Thank you very much. Then we proceed to the approval of this document, 13, and adopt it as amended. Thank you very much. Now we move to the document number 14. As you know, the working group on the budget met throughout of our session, and therefore I would like to give the floor the chairperson of this working group to present her report and the draft decision proposed on this matter that was distributed to you. As I said to you, this document was worked very thoroughly on the basis of consensus of all the parts, so I hope that it will not arouse too much questions. So, please, Mrs. Zeichner, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good morning to our colleagues. It is my pleasure to report back to you today on the results of the Budget Working Group discussions and present to you the draft decision 43-14 Rev. But first, please allow me to express my sincere gratitude to the members of the committee for having elected me as chairperson of the Budget Working Group. As scheduled, the Budget Working Group has met 3 times from the 2nd to the 4th of July for 3 hours of discussions overall. In total, we had 53 participants over those 3 days, representing 9 committee members, 13 observer state parties, and 4 organizations, including our 3 advisory bodies. I would like now to thank all the delegates of the committee members and states parties, as well as the representatives of the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies who attended and actively participated at the meetings of the budget group. The inputs and constructive spirit of all participants allowed us to conclude our work in a very efficient and timely manner. The work of the group has started with a very comprehensive presentation of the budget document by the Secretariat, which allowed for participants to make general comments and ask for some clarification and explanations. Then the group proceeded with the examination of the draft decision. The group noted with satisfaction the increase of the budget for the next biennium, as well as the proposal to use this increase for the budget lines of international assistance and sites in danger. Therefore, it was agreed to adopt the budget for 2020-2021 as proposed in document 14. Globally, you'll see that the original text of the draft decision was retained, with only 2 additions related to the topics on which our discussions focused over those 3 days, namely the issue of arrears and the cost-sharing mechanism proposed in 2018 by Norway for funding of the evaluation of nominations by the advisory bodies. Several participants stressed the adverse impact of arrears, which puts in jeopardy the proper functioning and operations under the Convention. Possible ways and means to resolve this issue were discussed at length, and while it took us 8 days in plenary to request the legal advisor to take the floor, he had plenty of opportunities to interact with the members of the Budget Working Group, and I wish to thank him for providing his useful insights on many occasions throughout our meetings. Seeing that this topic is of great importance to the states parties, I imagine that this matter will, and may I add, should also be addressed by the states parties at our forthcoming General Assembly this November. Concerning the mechanism for funding the evaluations of nominations by advisory bodies, it should be recalled that it was proposed last year by Norway in the framework of the discussions of the ad hoc working group. This mechanism is a short-term measure towards ensuring the sustainability of the World Heritage Fund. It proposes to share the costs of evaluations between the World Heritage Fund and the submitting state parties, allowing for a shifting of resources to conservation activities. The ad hoc working group of 2018 had recommended the adoption of this mechanism. The committee, at its 42nd session last year, took note with appreciation of the proposal and decided to further examine this matter at its current 43rd session, including possible modalities as well as legal bases or implications. In the wake of the interest already expressed last year, there was an overwhelming consensus in the group for the adoption of this mechanism. However, some state parties expressed regrets that the payment of contributions in this framework could not be mandatory, because it seems imposing a mandatory fee for the submission of nominations would not be in accordance with the Convention. Modalities for this mechanism were proposed and included in the draft decision under paragraph 13. The budget group also decided that the mechanism should be included in the operational guidelines and asked me, in my capacity of chair of the budget group, to transmit this request to the chairperson of the operational guidelines working group, which I did. This request was welcomed, and the modalities of this funding mechanism were included in the operational guidelines working group in a new paragraph 168 bis in the operational guidelines. Finally, please allow me to reiterate my thanks to all those who contributed to the work of the group. I hope that the distinguished members of the committee will adopt this draft decision, which is the outcome of collective and applied endeavor of the working group. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Zechner. Now, I would like to ask the committee members if there are any comments on the proposed draft decision. Norway, I can see.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Norway would like to thank the Secretariat for a very comprehensive report and also the very able chairing of the Budget Working Group by Anna Zechner. We're very worried, Norway is very worried to see the trend of slowdown of the payment of assessed contributions. As it is stated in para 4 in the document, we state parties cannot pretend and expect to exercise rights and enjoy benefits that we have under the Convention if we don't fulfill our obligation to pay. Norway is happy to also this year have been able to follow the good example of Australia, Turkey, Sweden and the Netherlands on doubling the compulsory contribution. We encourage others to do the same. Capacity building, a balanced and credible list, and priority Africa have been mentioned in almost all our discussions. Norway signed an agreement with UNESCO in June, which allocates almost $3 million to the World Heritage Fund, with a special focus on natural World Heritage sites in Africa. We hope that this contribution will be useful. Lastly, we hope that the committee will adopt the mechanism for voluntary funding of evaluations of nominations, as outlined in para 9 in the draft resolution. We believe that this will release funding for conservation activities, which is in line with the priority set out by the committee. It is also the very core of this convention, namely international cooperation for the protection of the world cultural and natural heritage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Tunisia, please.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. J'ai bien pris note de vos recommandations en début de séance pour que nos discussions n'aillent pas trop en profondeur et qu'elles ne s'étalent pas trop dans le temps. Nous y astreindrons. Cela dit, c'est bien dommage qu'un point aussi important, qui est l'outil qui nous permet d'aller réaliser tous les objectifs et les idéaux que nous n'avons pas arrêté de dessiner et de chérir durant les 9 premiers jours, soit coincé dans un point à l'ordre du jour où on est sous la pression compréhensible du temps d'ailleurs. Je crois que l'année dernière, à ce même point de la session, nous avions formulé le vœu, et qui est devenu même une décision de ce comité, que ce point ne soit pas laissé à la fin, lorsque la tension est moindre, la fatigue est grande et le plus grand nombre des délégations soient parties. C'est bien regrettable parce que là, nous avons entre les mains le moyen réel de réalisation de nos objectifs. Cela ne m'empêche pas de remercier le secrétariat et le centre d'avoir fait des efforts louables. Et les directions indiquées l'année dernière sont là, nous les voyons, et elles sont extrêmement précieuses. L'augmentation, par exemple, du taux de 200% sur le point 2.1 sur la crédibilité de la liste du patrimoine mondial est un point extrêmement important à saluer. Cela, pourtant, devrait à ce moment-ci, et c'est pour ça que je regrette le peu de temps que l'on consacre à ce point, c'est qu'on se pose des questions, on voit, on évalue et on voit où est-ce qu'on en est. La question, par exemple, de l'assistance internationale, nous l'avons inscrit depuis plusieurs sessions, il y a eu des objectifs tracés. Par exemple, nous ne voyons pas le taux, par exemple, d'exécution et de mise en œuvre de ce que nous avons nous-mêmes décidé lors de la session de 2018, puisque le budget est bouclé. On aimerait savoir quel est le taux d'exécution. Cela nous montrera réellement est-ce que les indications données par les différentes sessions du comité en sont suivies ou pas. Si elles ne le sont pas, on devrait comprendre pourquoi et en tirer des conséquences et arrêter des mesures. Ce point est extrêmement important dans une logique de volonté d'appliquer les points qui nous permettent de réaliser ce que nous tous sommes d'accord. L'équilibre de la liste, sa représentativité, venir en aide à ceux qui n'ont pas les moyens techniques ou le savoir-faire, et ça, c'est extrêmement important. C'est bien beau de venir dire « c'est dommage que certaines régions n'inscrivent que très peu de sites par session », alors que nous nous sommes déjà penchés sur ce point et nous avons dit quels étaient les remèdes. Donc, voici par exemple une question à laquelle j'aimerais bien qu'on ait une réponse. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Kuwait, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I would really thank the delegation of Norway. True, we have a lot of issues to solve in this committee, but it totally depends on the funds. And I, again, echo what they're saying, encourage all the state parties to have increased their fund as possible for the conservation of the World Heritage Sites. I also would like to echo what's my colleagues from Tunisia regarding discussing this important item, I think, early, where we have a good chance, not just for the committee members, but also the other state parties where we're there, we see on our back, they used to be full, but unfortunately, not many of them present today. I have just, just because Kuwait, we have 2 nominations and we went through in both of them, the upstream process. and I was looking at the budget. I have a specific questions in the budget on Annex 4 on page 40, item 14, proposed for the World Heritage for the next budget 2020-2021. Action 2, identification, management, and promotion of the World Heritage. The sub-item 2.1, credibility of the World Heritage List. I've noticed that item was increased 200%, 2.1. And when I look down on the increase, I found, I think a new sub-item created, which is the upstream support. If I get more clear, that the whole increase, the 100,000 was increased in that sub-item, the upstream support. And if I go to the same part down to 2.2.5.1, which is the international assistant proprietary. If I get the clarification, what's the difference between the two items and why that item was created for the upstream for 100,000? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bahrain, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would like first to thank the Secretariat and the World Heritage Center for their efforts to increase the budget available, and that is absolutely good news. I don't want to repeat what has been said before, but as Bahrain, we actually agree with the state of Norway and Kuwait, and with Tunis. We have some worries regarding the timing of the budget discussion, which comes towards the end, basically the last day, and doesn't give enough time for the rest of the delegations to be present. And also when we are all, as our colleague from Tunis has just pointed out. The delegation of Bahrain do appreciate the fact that the sub-item 2.25 international assistance was increased by 40%, as I can see, with a total amount of 1,050,000. And in this, we consider a positive action as such. However, we would like to inquire about the capacity needed for the implementation of such a significant amount, which might need considerable efforts from the Secretariat and the state parties for the preparation of the international assistance programs and requests that fulfill the requirement of the operational guidelines. Therefore, it will be very useful for the committee members to take the right decisions in this regard and in the right time and with enough time allowed for that decision to be made properly. And we need to receive information about the level rate of implementation of the international assistance from the World Heritage Fund during the previous biennium, which would justify such a significant increase. I would also like to repeat what was said by our distinguished colleagues from Norway, that we have really some difficult problems and of underrepresentation in terms of the nomination and in terms of the ability of state parties in like in Africa and in the Arab region, where we have really less representation than anywhere else, and at the same time we suffer most from economic problems and also from the war zone, the war happening in the area. So it is most important, as we discussed last year in exactly the same session, that there should be the implementation rate in these areas and others should be more significantly increased since the budget has been increased. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments or questions? Bosnia, please.
La Bosnie-Herzégovine soutient les propositions qui étaient déjà dites, à savoir faire une analyse approfondie du budget et de ne pas laisser ce point si important à la fin de la session. Et je ne veux pas répéter ce que les collègues ont déjà dit. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. So we have some questions. I think that the working group leader have to answer the questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and of course I will give the floor to the Secretariat because certain of the questions would rather be answered by them, and I think I have took note of the questions that were related about the placing of this item on the agenda, but I don't think I'm the one fit to answer that. Although just to recall that I believe at the very beginning of this session we have adopted the timetable for a committee meeting, and I do not recall hearing any problems with the placing of this item on the agenda towards the end, as we always do. And then regarding all the questions that were asked, which I think we all greatly appreciate, just to recall, we had very long discussions and all these questions could have been asked during the 3 hours of our meetings. But I would now like to give the floor to the Secretariat to answer maybe in detail the questions that were asked. Thank you.
Mrs. Rossler, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I would like to thank all the delegates for the points they have raised. First of all, from Norway, we are as worried as you are with the arrears of the countries. I actually don't understand how you can benefit from this convention without paying the dues to the World Heritage Fund. We hope that this changes. The closer we come to the General Assembly, normally countries pay up their dues. So that's a plea from our side. I have also taken note of the points which were raised by the delegations. First of all, on the point of the item in the agenda, as Mrs. Zeichner said, this is a tradition in this committee that we open the item to have enough time to discuss it in the budget group. But if this helps, and we are very much willing to help, instead of giving my presentation as director to the budget group, if you wish, we can do the presentation to give the overview on the budget at the opening of the item, and then the budget group could work on it if this is a way forward, so that everybody is fully informed about the critical situation we have here on the budget. And then there were a number of technical points which my colleagues will answer. We have Mrs. Tocharova, and our AO is also with us. Thank you.
Mrs. Tocharova, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll try to provide some feedback or information on the questions that have been asked by the honourable delegates of Tunisia, Kuwait, Bahrain and Bosnia. First of all, concerning the international assistance, as it was indicated in the presentation of the previous item, which was adopted by the decision on which was adopted by the committee, now this international assistance budget is completely used, and there are practically no availabilities and no money left on conservation and management. Given this fact, there has been some reallocation from other budget lines, and as was mentioned again, there is a careful review has been made so that no other activities suffer, but at the same time, the international assistance request of Guatemala and Niger could be approved in order to start implementing important projects for the conservation of their sites. Concerning the implementation of the projects themselves that have been approved, while I don't have a very precise figure at this point, I can affirm this is work in progress, and practically half of them have already been launched, and there is ongoing work towards the implementation of this project. I also noted the question on upstream support, and I do believe it is important to highlight that so far in the current budget of the World Heritage Fund, there was no specific line on budget support on upstream support. Basically, further to the discussions of the committee, further to decisions of the committee regarding the importance of upstream support for states parties, specifically in countries, in LDCs, in SIDS countries, in countries which are in need of support, it has been suggested that an upstream support budget line is included in this budget in order to provide this crucial support. Of course, this is not enough. This is, 100,000 is not a very big amount of money, but it can provide the seeds money so that further fundraising can be done in order to raise funds for these activities. So this is the rationale behind, and it's based on the big interest of states parties to receive upstream support, and on the understanding by this committee that the dialogue and early consultations between states parties and advisory bodies are key towards the development of quality nominations, and also that many countries do not have the necessary funds, be it financial or human resources and expertise, to do this on their own. I'll refer to documents, to the current document 9A, on which a decision was adopted yesterday, and that also demonstrates what is the interest from countries, least developing countries, seeds and others, to receive upstream support, and that many of them do not have funding allocated by their governments to that purpose. So that's the rationale for the upstream support. I've noted one more question concerning the increase of the international assistance budget, the proposal to increase the international assistance budget in the budget of the World Heritage Fund for the next biennium. Allow me to make just a comment. We were so happy to realize that this time we have an increase in the budget for the first time for many years, due to the doubling of funds, and thank you, Norway, for raising the question about the need to receive further funds and how important it is to receive additional funds to the World Heritage Fund. For the first time we had this increase, and it was very clear to us that the most important need was international assistance, because it has been highlighted over time during committee session that the funds available for providing international assistance to states parties for conservation and management, or preparatory assistance for identification of sites and nomination, is absolutely crucial. So for us, it was a very natural proposal to suggest that the big part of this additional funds is dedicated to international assistance, and some part was also suggested to increase the budget line on sites on the danger list. A question was raised by Bahrain, how this increase of the international assistance budget can actually make the implementation more difficult for the Secretariat and for the states parties alike. Well, certainly, if there are some more money to be distributed, there would be some more work on the preparation of international assistance requests, on the evaluation of international assistance requests, and some more work by states parties. But at the same time, as the increase is not so big as to double the work, so with a little bit more effort on behalf of the Secretariat, and as you know, we are used to making additional efforts on so many levels, we think that this would be possible to be to be implemented. And certainly our regional units at the center, they work very well with states parties to assist them in preparing international assistance requests, and I believe that it would be possible for them to extend a further hand to provide assistance. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think I've looked at most of the provided answers to most of the questions, but it's possible that I may have missed something, and possibly our colleagues from the Administrative Office of the Culture Sector may have some further comments. Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome, please. It's okay? No. No. Maybe another concerns which you wanted to raise concerning this matter. I also agree that this matter is of great importance, and we have to discuss it very thoroughly. But I noted that the preparation of the draft decision was done during the working group, and all members of the committee and the others could participate in the discussions and gave their indications and ideas. So I would like once more to emphasize the professionalism of those who were working in working group, and the document provided to the agenda is quite fully involved, expressing the work of the committee and center and etc. Concerning the proposal to submit it earlier for the discussion, I think the Secretariat will think over that for the next session, and by all means it needs some preparation time through the session. So if the discussion will start on the first day, at least maximum 5-6 days may be possible to include this document into the agenda, not earlier. So if there are no any other amendments and questions, let me proceed to the approval of the document 14 as proposed by the working group, and I don't see any objections, and I approve the document as adopted. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Sachner, for your dedicated leadership of the group. Thank you very much. Now we move to the item 11A. As you know, the working group on the operational guidelines met during the last days, and it is proposing a revised draft decision 11 on the revision of the operational guidelines, which has been distributed to you, and it's proposed for adoption. If you allow me, I would like to invite Sheikh Khalifa Al Khalifa to further report to the committee members on this matter. Excellency, the floor is yours, and thank you for very efficient work of this working group during these days. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to you all. I have the pleasure to present to you the conclusions of the draft decision elaborated by the working group on the operational guidelines established by the committee on Monday, 1st July, under item 11A of the agenda. The mandate given to the group by the committee included the revision of a number of paragraphs of the operational guidelines as presented in working document WHC 1943-11A, and more specifically in its Annex 1, which includes the marked up version of the paragraphs proposed for revision. Additionally, as you have heard in the report of the chair of the Budget Working Group, we were also requested to discuss during our work the inclusion of a new paragraph into the operational guidelines concerning the financing of the evaluation of nominations by the advisory bodies. The working group met 3 times during lunchtime from 2 to 3. The group worked very efficiently and was able to finish its work in 3 hours instead of the 4 hours originally planned. In the 3 meetings, we had a very good participation with an average of 60 to 66 participants at each meeting, with 28 state parties represented, including 11 committee members. It was decided to tackle the issues concerning the revision of the operational guidelines by theme rather than in the sequence of articles, as this allowed for a more focused and streamlined discussion. We started the discussion with Part B of Annex 1 of Document 11A concerning the mainstreaming of the principles of the policy document of the integration of sustainable development perspective into the process of the World Heritage Convention and of the other relevant policy documents, including the UNESCO policy on engaging with indigenous peoples, into specific operational procedures. We had very fruitful debates, and the consensual texts were achieved smoothly and efficiently. The discussion of this item continued at our second meeting. Under this item, the group has also agreed to update Section 6B, Capacity Building and Research of the Operational Guidelines, taking into account the World Heritage Capacity Building Strategy adopted by the committee at its 35th session in 2011. At our third meeting, we had the pleasure to receive the chair of the Budget Working Group, who explained the request for a new paragraph of funding the evaluation of nominations by the Budget Working Group, which reflects the decision on the budget that the committee adopted a few minutes ago. The inclusion of a new paragraph, 168 bis, was unanimously agreed by our group. The meeting continued with the discussion of the proposed revisions concerning the international assistance process, which were agreed by the group. Having finalized the discussion of the proposed revisions, we moved to the discussion of draft decision 43-11A. There were no comments from the group, with the exception of a minor editorial change. The revision of the operational guidelines agreed by the working group is presented in track changes in the annex to the draft decision 43-11B. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Do we have any comments and questions? Once more, I would like to note that the result of the working group is very positive, because the document reflecting all the tiny matters which were discussed at the previous sessions, which approved, they were taken into consideration, and it is done on the basis of the consensus. The document is quite large and very fully reflects the requirements and the additions which we hope will help us to facilitate the work of the nominations and all the procedures in future. So, are there any questions? May I ask once more? I don't see any. So, I would like to congratulate the working group with the excellent matter on this matter, and I think that there is a optional draft agenda with some amendments provided to us. So, Rapporteur, can you update us?
Thank you. We'll just get the decision there. The draft decision itself will only be amended to adopt the new operational guidelines. So paragraph 3 would read, adopts the proposed revision of the operational guidelines as presented in the present document, and we probably wouldn't say present twice. And then we can have a look at the document that if you would like. No, we don't even have it attached. But it's the one that you have in front of you. And we're just fixing up the French there as well. That's all, Mr. Chair.
I see. So these amendments were also approved by the working group, yes? Or it was agreed on the consensus basis. Should we proceed item by item, or it will? I think we have to do it on whole. Thank you very much. So once more, I would like to thank the members of the working group for the efficient work and very high quality of the document provided to the session. And I would like to thank Khalifa Al-Khalifa for leadership of the group and for the effective work. Thank you very much, and we approve the document 11A adopted in the last version. Thank you very much. Now we move to the item 12. You will remember that we have opened item 12 last Monday, and that we listened to the report of the chair of the groups. As you will remember also, we decided to leave this item open to allow the further consultations. May I give the floor to Mr. Baratli from delegation of Azerbaijan, who, as you know, chaired the working group on the matter. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, and good morning to all dear colleagues. Just to briefly inform you that we were able to convene one full composition meeting of ad hoc working group, if I may call so, and we discussed conceptually what are the general ideas of the members of the group, and further on we convened several meetings of the drafting group, specific drafting group composed of members of the committee, mainly. And as a result, this drafting group produced a new draft decision, which is already submitted to rapporteur to be discussed now. And I'm very happy to mention that yesterday evening we had the last meeting, and the meeting was quite inclusive. We had almost each and every member representative of the committee. So with that, I stop here. Thanks so much, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Do committee members have any questions to the submitted information? Burkina Faso, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Ma délégation remercie et félicite le groupe de travail ad hoc sous la présidence de l'Azerbaïdjan pour les conclusions de ces travaux qui nous sont soumis. En ce qui concerne la réflexion sur la réforme du processus d'inscription, nous prenons note du principe des deux phases retenues, avec l'évaluation préliminaire comme première phase et le mécanisme actuel comme seconde phase. Le document relatif à l'évaluation préliminaire préparé par le groupe de travail précise davantage les principes et modalités sur lesquels se fonde cette évaluation préliminaire. Nous souhaitons à cet égard que la distinction soit clairement établie entre l'initiative du processus en amont, qui est déjà opérationnelle, et cette phase d'évaluation préliminaire. Nous remercions le groupe de travail également pour les recommandations sur les autres aspects du processus de réforme d'inscription, dont le but, comme on l'a relevé, est de contribuer à améliorer la qualité des propositions d'inscription et à renforcer le dialogue entre les États parties, le Centre du patrimoine et les organes consultatifs. S'agissant du petit groupe d'experts à mettre en place pour discuter des propositions concrètes à introduire dans les directives opérationnelles, nous tenons à ce que ce groupe de travail soit représentatif de l'équilibre régional. Ainsi, ma délégation voudrait proposer un léger amendement qui reflèterait cet équilibre régional. Nous remercions l'Australie pour l'allocation du reste du fonds extra budgétaire pour cette seconde phase de réflexion et nous sommes en outre favorables à l'extension du mandat du groupe ad hoc tel que proposé, ainsi qu'à l'inscription à l'agenda de l'Assemblée générale des États parties de points relatifs au code de conduite. S'agissant du statu quo, de l'implication des organes consultatifs additionnels, ma délégation, tout en s'alignant à ce statu quo, voudrait encourager les organes consultatifs à davantage de consultations avec les organes thématiques et scientifiques de l'UNESCO. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Uganda, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Uganda would like to express satisfaction together with the Africa Group concerning paragraph 13, which reads that retains the status quo regarding the involvement of additional advisory bodies. However, in the past there has been this discussion whether or not to add other bodies alongside the advisory bodies. But here the status quo is maintained, but would like to make a little addition to that paragraph.
with your permission, which would read, yes, paragraph 13. At the end of that, to make the addition, and also encourages the advisory bodies to sustain consultations with UNESCO's own thematic scientific bodies. Scientific bodies. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thematic word is also needed. Own scientific bodies, no word thematics. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Now, Norway, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Norway just has to take the floor and really thank Azerbaijan, and in particular Rashad Baratli, for the excellent chairing of the ad hoc working group. We have reached very important results, and this would not have been able to achieve those results without the leadership of Azerbaijan and the good spirit we had among colleagues in the group. Norway is looking forward to continue working on the issue of preliminary assessment in the next ad hoc working group. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Tanzania, please.
Thank you, Chair. Tanzania commends the work done by the ad hoc working group. I managed to attend one of the sessions. It was a wonderful undertaking by the chair. We really congratulate him. But secondly, I want to go along with what the delegate from Burkina Faso has just said, and also what Uganda has said. So Tanzania goes along with what they said. Tanzania also wishes to get a guidance from the legal advisor on this matter, on the issues of code of conduct. We have in our working procedure, we have the guidelines, the operation guidelines. We also have the rules of procedure that guides us in our decisions. We are asking, as Tanzanian delegate, do we need to come up with a code of conduct, or we can change the rules of procedure or improve the rules of procedure? Chair, that is our question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Azerbaijan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Azerbaijan was honored to chair the work of the ad hoc working group, and thanks all participants for constructive engagement. This is a very important and useful platform where committee members, regional group representatives, state parties, secretariat and advisory bodies meet and discuss important issues with regard to better implementation of our convention. This year was special as we started our reflections on nomination reform process. It's clear that we need changes for better process in this regard. We are glad that group came up with concrete proposal on a preliminary assessment. We support this proposal as it reflects inclusive discussions held so far in ad hoc, and it creates opportunity for more dialogue, would make possible to avoid deviations and in some sense contribute to capacity building. The proposal on our table sets certain conceptual matters. For example, that PA should be mandatory, evaluation should be based on desk review, pilot phase of implementation, and so on. We think that this is momentum and this concept needs to be approved. And then further on, we may focus on modalities of this process. Two-phase nomination process will create more opportunities for quality nominations with strong potential. Furthermore, group came up with conclusion to retain the status quo on using of additional advisory services. Group had interesting discussions, and for the moment, this is the outcome. Additionally, group came up with useful guiding principles for overall nomination reform process, which is inclusive and can be used in future process as well. We think that except the two concrete outcomes, PA and position on advisory services, group did very useful scoping exercise and defined scope for future deliberations. Among them, we can mention the need for more transparency and inclusiveness in evaluation process, future review of global strategy, guidelines for preparation of nominations, and so on. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Australia, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and our distinguished colleague from Azerbaijan has just articulated perfectly the substance of what we would say about the benefits of these reforms. And I do want to take the opportunity to acknowledge with deep thanks Mr. Baratley for his excellent chairmanship of the ad hoc working group. When you are seeking to make reforms, it requires real leadership. And Mr. Baratley, through this process, has shown tremendous leadership, and we now have before us a set of reforms that we believe are going to significantly improve the nomination process and will be of long-standing benefit to the operation of this convention. So thank you. I would also just like to indicate that Australia is very happy to support the amendments proposed by the delegations of Burkina Faso and Uganda.
Thank you very much. China, please.
Thank you, Chair. China wishes to congratulate and thank Azerbaijan for the excellent leadership in the ad hoc working committee. The work has been extremely constructive, and we are delighted also and wishes to commend all the participants for their spirit of cooperation and friendship. That leads to a satisfactory conclusion of yesterday's last meeting. So on this note, we support the result. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Angola, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous allons réagir très rapidement aux trois sujets qui sont devant nous. Premièrement, nous appuyons, disons, l'amendement fait par le Burkina Faso concernant la composition des groupes de travail. Nous avons remarqué durant, disons, notre mandat qu'il y a parfois une confusion dans la constitution des groupes, notamment si nous parlons du contexte africain. On confond parfois les centres de catégorie 2 et les États partis. Si on veut impliquer les experts pour travailler sur certains sujets, le centre de catégorie 2, qui est le Fonds pour le patrimoine mondial africain, ne représente pas les États partis. Donc il ne faut pas qu'il y ait cette confusion. Les États partis sont les États partis, ils ont leurs experts, et le centre de catégorie 2 travaille avec les centres. Donc il faut que ça soit bien clair que dans la composition des groupes, le Fonds pour le patrimoine mondial africain, dans le contexte africain, ne représente pas les États partis. Ça, c'est une chose. Deuxième chose, nous soutenons également l'amendement proposé par l'Ouganda d'encourager les organes consultatifs de travailler en consultation avec des comités scientifiques qui existent, parce que c'est une plus-value pour aider les organes consultatifs à avancer un peu plus rapidement sur leurs études scientifiques, notamment sur les directives qui doivent être mises en place pour faciliter les processus d'évaluation de certains biens qui devraient déjà être sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Donc ça, c'est vraiment une plus-value pour ces organes consultatifs. Troisièmement, par rapport à la question que la Tanzanie a posée, disons, au Conseil juridique, bon, peut-être nous réagirons après, mais nous voulons juste revenir sur le débat que nous avons ouvert hier. La question du code de conduite pose ou illustre qu'il y a un mal à l'aise ou une malaise au sein, disons, du comité et des structures qui l'accompagnent dans la prise de décision. Donc, il y a un véritable problème. La réflexion doit continuer pour que nous sachions exactement quelles sont les structures qui prennent des décisions à la lumière de la mise en œuvre de la Convention sur le patrimoine mondial. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Hungary, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And we just wish to echo all those in front of us who have thanked Azerbaijan for the leadership in this process. And we also want to thank Rashad Baratli personally for the wonderful and excellent chairmanship that he has shown throughout this year. And we wouldn't have been able to achieve this result without him. We strongly believe that when we look at the future of the convention, something very crucial and important is starting here in Baku at our 43rd session. And we also just wanted to take the opportunity to commend the hard work of the whole ad hoc working group, committee members and non-committee members alike, for working together in a spirit of cooperation, always in a constructive manner to achieve the results that we have in front of us. And really, again, a special thanks to the chair who has even convened meetings during this session of the World Heritage Committee. And we support the draft decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Kuwait, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, Rashad, you can smile. It's okay. Let me say, as a part of this committee member, I would really, this is one of the, the most constructive, positive spirit of all committee members during the several meetings we had. And, I have two, comments to say. That was from day one, the objective of this, ad hoc group is to strengthen the dialogue and the transparency between the state parties and the advisory board, and also to strengthen the work of the advisory board, let me say, the existing advisory board. That was our main objective, and to make it also easier and more, the files to start up with much cleaner, more constructive files from the beginning. And I think that will reduce a lot of the controversy that will be reaching during these meetings. Also, another thing, I would, urge, the committee members to continue the momentum. It's really important that the momentum, went really to a very lengthy way. We encourage to keep the momentum, and we urge also most of the state parties who participated in the first ad hoc group to continue, because they are more, have, good background in it. And I would like to thank everyone, and specifically Rashad. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tunisia, please.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Je serai bref. Néanmoins, je voudrais, avec beaucoup de fermeté, dire combien nous voulons saluer le travail sous la direction de la délégation d'Azerbaïdjan à Paris et ici même pour mener à bien la réflexion de ce groupe. Nous nous félicitons du principe de sa continuité, même si nous quittons le comité cette année pour laisser à d'autres, et on en est heureux de prendre notre place, nous continuerons à accompagner le travail de ce groupe parce que c'est une réflexion extrêmement importante. Et si on réfléchit stratégie, c'est un outil extrêmement précieux. Donc je renouvelle nos remerciements à la délégation d'Azerbaïdjan et à toutes les délégations qui y ont contribué, et nous appuyons le projet de décision.
Thank you very much. Now, IUCN, please. They wanted to.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Allow me to make this intervention on behalf of all three advisory bodies. It speaks to the far-reaching reform recommendations we see before us in item 12, and therefore touches on a number of other interrelated issues related to other agenda items that have been before us at this session. IUCN, NICROM and NICOMOS are making every effort to continue to actively engage in the reform discussions as we are highly committed to changes which will enhance our efficiency and effectiveness. We are very pleased to note, therefore, the opportunity to together address the time constraints and financial resources that are available to advance these important ideas. We believe that all actors in our process, committee members, states parties, the Secretariat and advisory bodies, are stretched to deal with these proposed reforms at the busiest time of the cycle and in the lead up to the annual World Heritage Committee sessions. We welcome the amended draft decision, which for us we find to be clear, balanced and with an appropriate level of precision in laying out a roadmap. And we look forward to working together to address the necessary resources to translate these reforms into working methods and changes to the operational guidelines. Mr. Chair, IEC and ICOMOS and ICROM reiterate our commitment to contribute in a constructive and realistic way to help us together move forward. Our pledge is to continue to support the Convention with high-quality global, independent and expert advice. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And now World Heritage Center, please, Mrs. Rose.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the comments which were made. Just one clarification I'm seeking from Uganda concerning the item which you have here. It's point 13, UNESCO's own scientific bodies. We have a number of scientific programs at UNESCO, which is the MAP program, for example, or Geoparks, or Memory of the World. Do you mean these, or do you refer to any other bodies? So I would like to seek clarification, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. May I ask Uganda to tell us what you are meaning under this scientific center?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. She's just mentioned some of those implied, together with others, for instance, the Scientific and Technical Advisory Body of UNESCO Underwater Cultural Heritage. So you have the resources within, but which may not be fully exploited by the advisory bodies. So that should add value to the work of the advisory bodies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May Madam Rosler give clarification?
Thank you. As I have been in the past also a secretary to that convention, it's a subsidiary body. You mean the STAP under the 2001 convention, yes? So maybe the wording should be UNESCO scientific programs and bodies under other conventions. That's what you mean? Thank you very much for the clarification.
Are you satisfied with this version? Thank you very much, Uganda. Burkina Faso, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le Burkina Faso avait dans son intervention indiqué le souhait de proposer un léger amendement au paragraphe 10. Je voudrais voir la formulation au niveau du paragraphe 10, juste après groupe, un petit groupe de rédaction qui reflète l'équilibre régional. Peut-être y a-t-il mieux de mettre qui reflète l'équilibre régional après composé d'aspects plutôt. C'est ça. Merci.
Thank you. We have Tunisia.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. La Tunisie voudrait revenir pour soutenir la proposition de Madame la directrice du Centre du patrimoine mondial. D'ailleurs, on s'était ouvert à la délégation d'Ouganda pour demander cette précision, tout simplement pour être plus précis, programmes scientifiques et organes relevant d'autres conventions de l'UNESCO, pour que les conventions ne soient que celles dans le cadre de l'UNESCO. Je crois qu'on couvre comme ça les deux manières et donc nous appuyons la proposition de Madame la directrice du Centre du patrimoine mondial.
Thank you. As soon as there are no other comments, can we accept Zimbabwe, please?
Thank you, Chair. The Zimbabwe delegation is making a follow-up on a question that has been raised by Tanzania where they were seeking clarification on the need for a code of conduct, given that we have rules of procedure. Thank you.
Rashad, can you answer the question?
Well, if I get it right, the question about the relation between code of conduct and the operational guidelines. Rules
of procedure.
I'm sorry. With regards to rules of procedure, I think at this stage we are at the stage when we are endorsing the concept as it is, and then we arrive to the modalities of these proposals. At that stage, we may think of incorporation of this to the operational guidelines in more concrete ways. I don't know whether this responds to the question.
Thank you. Not as such, but maybe if we can get something from the legal advisors. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal advisor, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I understand that the question was indeed asked to me by the distinguished delegate of Tanzania regarding the code of conduct and whether it is needed and whether there's any, whether these same goals could not be achieved through a change in the rules of procedure. To address this question, I can only, of course, rely on the documentation that is now before the committee. The working group is still working on the text. Paragraph 61 indicates, of the document that you have in front of you, indicates that the ad hoc working group has agreed that the code of conduct for the states members of the committee, the advisory bodies in the convention, the secretariat to the convention, as well as states parties to the convention was necessary. Furthermore, I note that in paragraph 14 of the draft decision that is now before the committee would take note of the discussions in the ad hoc working group, encourage informal consultations between states parties on the elaboration of a conduct, and request the World Heritage Center to include an item to initiate discussion on the code of conduct in the agenda of the forthcoming 22nd session of the General Assembly of States Parties. From all these, the answer to the question, of course, depends very much on what the code of conduct will contain as information, or what will be the contents of the code of conduct. My understanding is that the code of conduct will not only address issues of procedure, but may also include a number of rules that would guide, indeed, the conduct of states parties and that are of a more substantive nature. As such, therefore, they would not be, or they could, the ideas that are in the code of conduct would not be suitable necessarily for the rules of procedure. Having said this, I would mention that the code, of course, will not be able to impose obligations or restrain rights that are already provided for in the convention. That requires a change of the convention. That cannot be done simply by a code of conduct. And similarly, they cannot change the rules of procedure because the amendments of the rules of procedure are to follow the rules of procedure themselves. My understanding from the texts in front of us is that the Code of Conduct would be adopted by the General Conference, which also makes sense insofar as, according to the description contained in paragraph 61, the Code of Conduct would not only address the work of this committee, but would also contain some indications that would be applicable to states that are not members of the committee. Paragraph 61 refers to states of the convention, parties to the convention, so it would mean all states. I would have, with your permission, Mr. Chair, a last point. I do note that paragraph 61 also refers to the Secretariat as being one of the recipients of the Code of Conduct, destinataries of the Code of Conduct. In that regard, I should raise a concern. As you may know, Article 14, paragraph 1 of the Convention foresees that the World Heritage Committee shall be assisted by a secretariat appointed by the Director General of UNESCO. And Rule 43, paragraph 4 of the Rules of Procedure indicates that the Director General shall appoint an official of the Secretariat of UNESCO to act as a secretary to the committee. In other words, the Convention has made the decision not to create its own secretariat, but to rely on the Secretariat of UNESCO. And indeed, the Secretariat of this Convention is composed of UNESCO's officials whose duties and obligations are embodied in UNESCO's staff regulations. Pursuant to these staff regulations, staff members are subject to the authority of the Director General and are responsible to the Director General in the exercise of their duties. The Secretariat being composed of UNESCO officials, it follows that only the General Conference of UNESCO and the Director General of UNESCO, to whom UNESCO staff members are subject, can impose rules of conduct to the Secretariat of the Convention or the World Heritage Committee. The committee would not be entitled to impose such rules on the Secretariat. Having said this, I would like to note that the staff regulations refer to the status of members of the Secretariat as international civil servants, which require independence, impartiality, and integrity. Furthermore, the standards of conduct for the International Civil Service developed by the International Civil Service Commission and which apply to civil servants of the United Nations systems and including its specialized agencies also refer to independence, impartiality, and integrity as principles that guide civil servants in their actions. It would therefore be possible to refer, maybe in the Code of Conduct, to the above-mentioned principles which apply to the Secretariat of the Convention and which are enshrined in UNESCO staff rules and regulations and the standards of conduct for the International Civil Service. This could be done, for example, in the preamble. But the Code of Conduct should not impose new obligations on the staff members of the Secretariat as part of UNESCO. I hope this assists the committee, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Baratli, please.
Thanks so much, Mr. Chairperson. Just to clarify that legal advisor clearly explained the reasoning whether it should be in rules of procedure or why is there a possible need for a code of conduct. But just to mention that why it was included in our discussion, that this issue is widely discussed in previous years as well. And with the decision 42.12a, part of 4, the further discussion was also requested. So just to point out this issue. And second point is that one of the important outcomes of our discussion vis-à-vis this principle, vis-à-vis the code of conduct, is that we more or less agree that the code of conduct should not be just targeted towards, focused on the just committee members, but all stakeholders, including advisory bodies and secretariat. But of course, I thank a legal advisor for just recent comments on this issue. I think it can be incorporated in our future deliberations. And that's the reason why here you can find the inclusion of this item into the agenda of the General Assembly, because we believe that it will give more inclusiveness and all state parties will have a possibility to react to this important issue. Thanks so much, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Now I think that... Tanzania, please.
Thank you, Chair. That is exactly was the concern of Tanzania, because if you wanted to introduce a code of conduct and then you take you include the World Heritage Center, you include the advisory bodies, and you include the state parties, to our thinking, we thought this would be difficult to enforce. And as it is difficult to enforce, then maybe there was no need of doing it, and it may take a long time to conclude it. We note the concern of the discussions in this session, why this idea of conduct has come up. And we thought we should only work on the issue of our concern rather than involve maybe other stakeholders who are not part of our work here in this committee's meeting. So we were suggesting that matter, if we are to
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Norway would like to propose, if this is agreeable to all of you committee members, that we actually keep the DR as it is now on the screen, and that we include this item on the agenda of the General Assembly, and that we have the discussion at that moment whether we need a code of conduct or not, that we don't adopt any code of conduct, we discuss whether we need it or not, and also who should be included in this code of conduct. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like to propose to note that the final decision and the discussion will be going on in November during the General Assembly of UNESCO, where all state parties will be there. So, and it is noted in the paragraph 14 that it's clearly understood from the text. Until that time, you can go further with the consultations and the discussions of all matters concerned with the questions raised by the honorable delegates from different countries. If you don't mind, we will proceed with the adoption of this text like proposed, with the inscription of the amendments which were done during now moment discussion. Angola, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je voulais qu'on revienne un peu sur les codes de conduite. On va juste ajouter un mot, peut-être ça va nous aider. Le paragraphe sur le code de conduite.
Ouais.
Voilà, exactement. C'est le 14, voilà. On voulait proposer, donc, la deuxième phrase. Encourage les consultations informelles entre les États partis sur la possibilité de l'élaboration. C'est une possibilité. Ça peut ou ne pas se faire. Donc, sur la possibilité de l'élaboration d'un code de conduite. Voilà le mot que nous voulions ajouter.
I think there are some confirmation from the other side, so maybe it better reflects the idea which we are talking about. Thank you very much. So we proceed to the approval of the document. Once more, I would like to thank all the members of the working group. Being the host country, I'm proud that such kind of evaluation of the work of delegation of Azerbaijan. Thank you very much for Rashad Baratleh and to all those who were working hard on the preparing of this draft. Thank you very much, and I declare the item 12 adopted. Now we move to the other matter, item 15. This item inquires whether there are any other businesses which may be interesting by the honorable delegates. The Center of the United Republic of Tanzania to the Council. Delegation of Tanzania wanted to make a statement concerned at the end of the participation of this committee. Today or tomorrow? You wanted to make it today or tomorrow? I have the...
I'll be guided by you, sir.
So if you are ready, you can do it now. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chairperson, first and foremost, I would like to commend the State Party of Azerbaijan for successfully organizing and steering the 43rd session of the World Heritage Committee. I take the floor to inform this august House that Tanzania was elected member of the World Heritage Committee in November 2015, a position it has humbly served to date, and therefore it has completed its membership to this committee. Our membership to the committee was an honor and a rewarding experience and has been a stepping stone to many milestones of learning and improvement on heritage capacities. We appreciate the cooperation and support extended to us throughout our tenure on the committee. We thank the World Heritage Center, the advisory bodies, the state parties, a member of the committee, for their outstanding cooperation. Furthermore, we would like to extend our special gratitude to the African State Party members of the committee for their collaboration, experience, and knowledge sharing during the tenure of our membership. We acknowledge the good working environment created through the teamwork of this committee, which enabled us to successfully implement the mandate of this committee. We therefore encourage the remaining committee members to continue with this spirit. Although it is an undeniable fact that a lot still needs to be done in the work of the committee, Tanzania is confident that the remaining committee members and those who will join later will continue with the good work and move forward from where we have left. Chairperson, we do not leave the committee with a sad face, but rather as a strong member who is confident on the direction of the work of the committee. We can safely say that despite our departure, Tanzania will always remain in good working relations with the World Heritage Committee, the World Heritage Center, individual state parties, and civil society organizations in the full implementation of the 1972 Convention. Finally, Chair, Tanzania would like to underscore its commitment not only as an outgoing committee member, but also as an active state party to the Convention that has brought oneness to the entire world. I thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much. And we also, on behalf of all the committee members, highly evaluate your involvement and very active position during these 4 years. And we are sure that Tanzania will always follow all the requirements and implement all the decisions which have been taken with your participation or without your participation, because you are a very active member of the society dedicated to the protection of the world heritage. Thank you very much for these words. Tunisia, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Peut-être dans la même veine que l'intervention avant nous, je suis très heureux d'annoncer à l'ensemble des membres du comité et à toute notre famille du patrimoine mondial qu'hier soir, les autorités nationales, locales, avec l'aide de l'Institut national du patrimoine, sur le site de Carthage, il y a eu application déjà de notre décision prise en début de session, la 43 comme 7B55, puisque au niveau du cirque de Carthage et des ports puniques, des destructions de constructions illégales, c'était ce à quoi on s'était engagé et nous sommes ravis que le comité encore réuni, ces réalisations ont été faites et vous pouvez compter sur nous pour que la totale conformité soit assurée à l'aune des dates que vous nous avez indiquées. Merci beaucoup, je voulais partager cette bonne nouvelle avec vous.
Thank you very much. We are very proud to hear all that, and as we noted it in the morning in the session at Bureau, the implementation of the recommendations which were given by the committee, by the state parties, the managers of the sites, those who are involved in the protection of the areas listed in the World Heritage List, is a matter of our pride. It means that the committee is working and the decisions of the committee are respected, accepted, and implemented by the world community. And it's the matter of the proud work of the committee. Very good example, and our congratulations. Thank you very much. Are there any other comments on the item 15? I don't see any. Now we are moving to the another very important question, item 16, which concerns the election of the new chairperson of the World Heritage Committee and also to proceed with the election of the vice chairpersons and on the rapporteur on the 44th session of the World Heritage Committee. As you may know, China invited the next session of the World Heritage Committee to Fizhou, Fujian province. I would like to know if you all agree with this proposal. I see no objections. This is decided. Congratulations, China. I understand that the delegation of China wished to propose a candidate as chairperson of the 44th session of the World Heritage Committee. May I give the floor to Chinese delegation?
Thank you, Chair. China has decided, the Chinese government would like to nominate Mr. Tian Xuejun, chairperson of the Chinese National Commission for UNESCO and Vice Minister of Education, to be the chairperson of the 44th session of the World Heritage Committee. I thank you.
Thank you very much. So we consider your applause like the confirmation and support to the proposal. The newly elected chairperson of the 44th session of the World Heritage Committee is His Excellency Tian Xuejun. Let me congratulate His Excellency for this election and let me express all my best wishes for his task ahead. And now I give the floor to the elected chair. Please, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chair, dear colleagues, it is my great pleasure to join you here for the 43rd session of the World Heritage Committee in Baku, a city of historical richness and modern vitality. I'd like to thank the government of the Republic of Azerbaijan and its people for the enormous and effective effort that you have made to ensure the success of the 43rd session of World Heritage Committee. And further thank you for the warm hospitality you have extended to the Chinese delegation. World Heritage conservation is a noble cause of pivotal importance to the development of human society. It is essential for safeguarding and promoting cultural diversity and biodiversity. For a long time, UNESCO has led and played an instrumental role in the global effort of world heritage knowledge dissemination and heritage conservation, scoring remarkable achievements. The World Heritage Convention has become one of the international conventions that have the largest number of state parties and the most extensive influence. Under the guidance of the Convention, the World Heritage Committee has vigorously optimized the global governance system of world heritage, formulated and implemented global strategy for a representative, balanced, and credible World Heritage List, established the World Heritage Fund, and launched a series of heritage conservation projects. Consequently, conservation management capacity has been significantly enhanced around the world. Today, World Heritage has become an important bridge and link connecting countries and peoples of different geographical environments, cultural traditions, historical origins, and development stages across the world. As an important annual event in the field of world heritage, the World Heritage Committee meeting has always attracted worldwide attention. I would like to take this opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to the committee for accepting China's sincere invitation and unanimously adopting the decision to hold the 44th session of the World Heritage Committee in China in 2020, and for electing me as the chairperson of the 44th session of the committee. We are deeply honored by your trust and your recognition of China's heritage conservation work. Dear colleagues, China is an active practitioner of the World Heritage Convention. The vast territory and 5,000 years of civilization have given China a rich natural and cultural heritage. The Chinese government attaches great importance to heritage conservation and transmission, and has incorporated as an important component of the national strategy for modernization and national rejuvenation. Chinese President Xi Jinping puts forward the concept of innovative, coordinated, green, open, and shared development. He points out that today's work in heritage conservation will bring benefits to future generations, and the protection and the conservation, as well as the utilization of cultural heritage and their transmission to the future generations, should be enhanced. He further points out that clear waters and green mountains are invaluable assets of humankind, and building an ecological civilization is vital to sustaining the development of the Chinese nation. Since its accession to World Heritage Convention in 1985, China has been committed to establishing and improving its legal framework, administrative structure, and management system for heritage conservation, forming a relatively complete World Heritage conservation, management, and monitoring system, as well as a well-developed World Heritage research and a capacity building system. The state of conservation of properties in China has continued to improve. The capacity for heritage conservation and research has been continuously enhanced. Education for World Heritage is carried out nationwide. Safeguarding and the transmission of heritage has become the consensus of the whole society. With the strong support of UNESCO, the advisory bodies, and the World Heritage Committee, 55 properties in China have been inscribed onto the World Heritage List. China is a firm contributor to World Heritage conservation. China supports the global strategy for a representative, balanced, and credible World Heritage List. China and UNESCO have co-established Category 2 centers, such as WeChat and HIST, to provide capacity building and remote sensing monitoring services of World Heritage sites to state parties. China supports UNESCO's Priority Africa strategy and held in collaboration with the World Heritage Center the UNESCO Africa-China Forum on World Heritage Capacity Building and Cooperation in Paris in June this year. China emphasizes the importance of exchanges and mutual learning in the field of world heritage. Chinese institutions have established partnerships with ICOMOS, IUCN, and ICROM, and carried out collaborative projects with Cambodia, Myanmar, Nepal, and Uzbekistan to effectively enhance the capacity for heritage conservation, restoration, and management in both China and these countries. China is an unswerving promoter of the global governance of the World Heritage. The World Heritage embodies the miraculous creations of the nature over hundreds of millions of years, and the rich accomplishments of human civilization over thousands of years. They are valuable assets shared by all humanity. Today, our world is undergoing profound changes, unprecedented in the past century, and humankind is facing complex and serious global challenges. The importance and urgency of World Heritage conservation is more prominent than ever. It requires the cooperation of all state parties and the relevant international organizations to carry out their shared responsibilities. China hosted the 28th session of the World Heritage Committee in 2004. In view of importance as a platform for global governance of World Heritage, China proposes to host the 44th session of World Heritage Committee in China for promoting exchanges in the mutual learning among civilizations, advancing sustainable development of human society, and building a community with a shared future for mankind. Ladies and gentlemen, Fuzhou, the host city of the 44th session of the World Heritage Committee, is the capital of Fujian province of China, with a history of more than 2,200 years. It has a rich cultural tradition, a beautiful ecological environment, well-developed infrastructure, and a booming economy. Chinese President Xi Jinping worked in Fuzhou as the city's party leader and then as the provincial governor in 1990s, during which time he put forward a series of important expositions on heritage conservation, proposed and implemented many important policies, leaving the city with rich cultural legacy and natural beauty. Representatives of Fuzhou City are also present here today. They are confident to organize a successful World Heritage Committee meeting next year. We are ready to keep close communication with UNESCO, the World Heritage Center in particular, and work closely with committee members and advisory bodies. As the chairperson of the 44th session, I very much welcome views and suggestions from all stakeholders. Let's work together for a successful 44th session and write another important chapter in the history of World Heritage conservation. I look forward to seeing you all at the 44th session of the World Heritage Committee. Welcome to Fuzhou. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, no, sorry. We have the other proposal. First, before we will give the floor to the mayor of the Fujian and present the film, I propose to elect the deputy chairs of the committee, and therefore I would apply to the groups of countries to present their proposal. So, Africa region, Burkina Faso, the floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le groupe Afrique sera représenté par l'Ouganda.
Any objections to this proposal from the committee members? Thank you very much. Approved, Uganda. Arab region, please. Tunisia, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Pour le groupe arabe, la Tunisie propose le Royaume du Bahreïn.
Thank you very much. Are there any objections to this candidacy? I don't see any. So, approved, Bahrain, congratulations. Europe and North America group. Norway, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Norway would like to propose Spain as vice chair. Thank you.
Any objections to this proposal? Thank you. Spain approved. Congratulations. Europe Group 2. I think Azerbaijan has a proposal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. Azerbaijan proposes Hungary to be a vice chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No objections? Then we approve Hungary. Congratulations. Now we come to Latin America and the Caribbean. Dear colleagues, as you know, we have still to elect one more from this region. However, I would like to inform you that internal consultations are still going on within the regional group and that a candidate cannot be proposed at this stage. Therefore, it is suggested that the mandate of the actual Vice Chair of Latin America and the Caribbean region, which is Brazil, be extended until the matter is settled. The Vice Chair for the Latin America and the Caribbean region will be designated during an extraordinary session of the committee, which will be convened next November, immediately after the General Assembly, which will elect the new committee members at the 22nd session from 27th to 28th November in UNESCO headquarters. Do you agree with this proposal to have Brazil remaining the position until then, this time? Thank you very much for your understanding. Now, are there any other proposals for candidates? Is there a committee member to wish to propose another candidate? Thank you. I don't see. May I give the floor to Hungary, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We have the honor to propose Ms. Mirai Hassalton-Woszinski to be the rapporteur for the 44th session of the World Heritage Committee from the Kingdom of Bahrain. Thank you very much.
Tunisia, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. La Tunisie soutient la proposition de la Hongrie.
Thank you very much. Are there any objections? So, if no, we propose that the rapporteur of the next session will be Mrs. Mirai Hasselton-Bolsinski, and we approve that. Thank you very much. Let me present the lady. So, our congratulations. Now I would like to give the floor to the Vice Mayor of Fiju to present the information about the site. Please.
Welcome to Fuzhou.
Welcome to the 44th session of the World Heritage Committee. Fuzhou is a beautiful homeland which is home to rivers and lakes and has access to seas. It has the reputation of a land of blessing and a city of happiness. Over the past 2,200 years, Fuzhou has accumulated rich cultural assets and nurtured numerous great minds. As a gateway to marine culture, Fuzhou began its journey to the outside world with residents around Tansher Mountain, exploring oceans as early as 5,000 years ago. Fuzhou is one of the most important trade ports on the southeast coast of China and gave birth to the Maritime Silk Road. In line with the spirits of the road featuring peace, openness, inclusiveness, and win-win, it will be the very land of prosperity as cooperation between countries and regions along the road is gaining momentum. It is the cradle of China's modern shipbuilding industry and an important cultural center. It is one of the first 5 cities in China opening its gates to the world. The profound cultural heritages that history passes on to the city are crystallized in values like the broadness and the tolerance of Zhuohai Lake, the thriving spirit of banyan trees, and the elegance of jasmine. Today, Fuzhou, as a hub for implementing the Belt and Road Initiative advances with the times by building on the excellent tradition of the Chinese civilization. The modern Fuzhou is showing the contemporary China's efforts in going global and integrating into the world. Large-scale international and domestic events are being held here, such as the Digital China Construction Summit, the Silk Road International Film Festival, the Maritime Silk Road International Tourism Festival, the Fuzhou Yongtai International Road Cycling Tournament, and the first National Youth Games, etc. Fuzhou has gained rich experience in these events. Convenient three-dimensional transportation system and advanced tourism infrastructure also provide excellent services for these large-scale events. The 44th session of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee is welcomed here, and you are guaranteed that it will be an unforgettable experience. Fuzhou welcomes you.
Thank you very much, and I hope that it will be really the unbelievable impressions after Fuzhou. We are looking forward for this event. So now we declare the item 16 closed as we approved all the details of this agenda. Thank you. We move now to the last item of today's discussion, which is provisional agenda. May I have Mrs. Rossler to present the item?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Document 17 has been distributed to all of you, which is the provisional agenda of the next session of the World Heritage Committee with the usual schedule of examination of items. There is one sub-item which we have to add to this provisional agenda, which you can see in track changes on the screen. Because it was put forward by this session, you have decided to put sub-item 5C here, which is Priority Africa, Sustainable Development and World Heritage. Furthermore, dear Mr. Chair, I would like to recall that General Item 8 is now considered a standing item in the same way as we examine General Item 7 on state of conservation, which means it's opened and it's kept open until the closing, and this will allow to take into consideration all debates and interventions you have for the decisions on Item 8. And also, I wanted to remind you that for a number of years, we cover thematic studies under item 5A, so please be assured that this will be also covered by us. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. So we have the provisional agenda. I understand that during the period before the opening of the 44th session, there will be some possibilities to make amendments and to approve it at the beginning of the 44th session. So as far as it is like that, and we don't have any comments, I would like to proceed for the approval of the provisional agenda. You don't mind? Thank you very much. We approve the item 17. So, dear colleagues, we are even better than we're supposed to be on the schedule. So you have a little bit more time to visit the city, to enjoy the free time. So the other thing that we have to start our work tomorrow at 10 o'clock, as usual. At 9 o'clock, the final documents will be provided to all tables of the delegations. And whoever considers it necessary to come to read and to make some comments on this matter, you're welcome to have these documents since 9 o'clock in the morning. But we will start the session at 10 o'clock. And after such a productive day of work and all these days, I wish you a very good time in hospitable Baku. Thank you very much. I enjoy your time. Thank you very much.